This video will help you fully understand electronic stability control and show you how to use it to your best advantage. The intent is to enhance the officer's knowledge of this computerized technology. Oversteer is what can happen to a vehicle as it tightens its turning radius, sending its rear end sliding to the outside of the turn. Basically, the rear tires lose traction, causing the rear of the vehicle to slide. This can happen if the driver brakes in a turn, uses aggressive throttle applications, or is rough with steering input. Understeer occurs under certain conditions when the front tires lose traction, resulting in the vehicle traveling in a straight line and resisting steering input. This can occur if the driver uses hard acceleration on a slippery surface, hard acceleration on a dry surface at high speed while traveling through a curve, or abrupt throttle applications. In everyday driving, it's normal for transverse forces to arise. But when you drive a bit too fast or turn the steering wheel, transverse forces can negatively affect road holding. But the Electronic Stability Control, or ESC, solves that problem by controlling the brakes, if necessary the engine, and if need be, the transmission as well. ESC is comprised of the following components: a speed sensor on each wheel, the rotation rate sensor, which measures the car's rotation around its vertical axis, and the steering angle sensor, which registers the driver's steering intention. From the sensor signals, the control unit computes when and how it has to intervene. The hydraulic unit builds up and reduces the braking pressure in the brakes. What happens during the first steering maneuver? The driver has to swerve quickly to the left. The steering angle sensor transmits this to the ESC control unit. But the rotation rate sensor signals that the car is understeering, that it's drifting straight ahead towards the obstacle. In split seconds, the ESC brakes the left rear wheel very briefly and sharply. This produces the desired counteractive force so that the car responds as the driver intended. What happens when you react? When you pull the wheel over to keep the car in the left lane after avoiding the obstacle, the car tends to oversteer and the rear end tends to break away to the left. The torque to the right is higher than the driver wants. In this case, ESC brakes the left front wheel. The torque is reduced. Instead of going into a skid, the car stays on course. ESC intervenes only when it detects a probable loss of steering control, when the vehicle is not going where the driver is steering. This may happen, for example, with loss of traction during oversteer and understeer conditions. ESC may also activate during high-performance cornering. Essentially, ESC attempts to keep the vehicle from loss of control due to oversteer and understeer conditions. ESC does not improve a vehicle's cornering performance. Instead, it helps to minimize the loss of control. The electronic stability control system automatically activates when you start your engine. It cannot be completely turned off. However, the ESC system is disabled when the transmission is in reverse. This vehicle is also equipped with a traction control system that helps avoid drive wheel spin and loss of traction. This system is operated independently from the electronic stability control. If the vehicle begins to slide, the traction control system applies the brakes to individual wheels and, when needed, reduces engine power at the same time. If the wheels spin when accelerating on slippery or loose surfaces, the system reduces engine power in order to increase traction. If you're stuck in mud or snow, you can shut off the traction control for full engine power, but not the electronic stability control. In addition to ESC and traction control, this vehicle is equipped with an anti-lock brake system, or ABS. The ABS helps you maintain steering control during emergency stops by keeping the brakes from locking. When the system is operating, the brake pedal will pulse and may travel further. Do not release brake pressure, but maintain firm, steady braking pressure while steering around the hazard. Never pump or modulate the brake pedal during ABS operation. The ABS light momentarily illuminates when the ignition is turned on. If the light does not illuminate during startup, or remains on or flashes, the ABS may be disabled. Do not drive the vehicle. Instead, remove it from service for repair. Drivers need to adapt their speed and behavior to prevailing road conditions. Basic fundamentals of proper performance driving techniques have not changed. However, if drivers find themselves in a turn and the vehicle begins to slide, the ESC will use the brakes and reduce throttle input to slow the vehicle. If the ESC warning light flashes or the driver feels the ESC system working, ease off, use less throttle, and steer in the desired direction of travel. While in a curve with the ESC activated, the driver can use the brakes if needed to reduce vehicle speed. Using the brakes while in a turn in a vehicle without stability control can result in loss of control. In the unlikely event that the ESC has failed and becomes disabled, a solid stability control light will illuminate on the dash. Immediately return to your office and remove the vehicle from service. An authorized dealer must service the vehicle immediately. Without ESC, you'll have to respond to understeer and oversteer appropriately. No system, no matter how sophisticated, can defy the laws of physics or overcome careless driving actions. Performance is limited by available traction, which snow, ice, water, and other conditions can affect. Should you start to slide while driving on snow or icy roads, maintain steering input in the direction you want to go. Use appropriate throttle as needed, while the ESC works to maintain control and forward momentum. Activation of the stability control system is an indication that at least some of the tires have exceeded their ability to grip the road. Slow down. Excessive entry speeds can limit the amount of traction available with the tires and roadway, exceeding the threshold limits of ESC. Do not let ESC allow you to become overconfident in the vehicle's handling and/or your own driving skills. The ESC system is not a performance enhancement nor a replacement for safe driving practices, but rather a safety technology to assist the driver in recovering from dangerous situations. For example, in a severe hydroplaning scenario, the wheels that ESC would use to correct a skid may not even initially be in contact with the road, reducing its effectiveness. When traveling at high rates of speed, drivers should give themselves enough time to slow down, using straight-line brake applications for sufficient rates of closure while entering turns or off-ramps. Additionally, two hands should always be used and positioned at 10 and 2, 9 and 3, or 8 and 4 to maintain control with smooth steering input. As with any vehicle being operated in police work, drivers must stay focused and take care not to get in over their heads with excessive entry speeds, aggressive throttle applications, or abrupt steering inputs.